Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Figure Fridays. I'm your host Tama, and today we'll be looking at the 1/8 scale Kurama figure from the ARTFXJ line by Kotobukiya. Yesterday, the live-action version of Yu Yu Hakusho was set to release, so I'm very excited to celebrate it with today's video. Let's dive right in. Inside of the box, we get a slew of different options to pose Kurama with. First, we get the base, which is mostly the same design as Hiei's from the last video I did a couple of weeks ago. Please check that out if you haven't. This time it has a rose petal print on a red plastic to better fit Kurama's character archetype, and it looks really nice. Of course, we get Kurama, which comes with one pose only, but the box does come with two options to choose from. You get the signature Ivy Rose Whip, or two roses to fit between his fingers. Out of the box, he is equipped with the whip, but personally I prefer the roses as the thorns make the figure feel a little too overwhelming for my tastes. Both variations do look quite good, however, and I could easily recommend either, but that's my preference. Right off the bat, I can definitely tell you that this figure is very fun to look at. It is leagues better than the Hiei figure from the same line that I reviewed a few weeks back. It definitely helps that the 1/8 scaling feels more natural because of Kurama's larger height, which measures out to be just over 8 inches tall and about 4 inches diameter at the base. The size feels just right. It's not too big nor too small, no issues there. And the price comes out to a flat 10,000 yen, almost double the price it was 5 years ago for 5,800 yen. That's right, this figure is a re-release, originally becoming available for purchase back in 2012. This figure is back on the market and looking just as good as ever. It holds up quite well even compared to newer figures on the market from Kotobukiya's own line. Considering how similar this figure is to the figure I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, I don't want to mention the base too much, but again I do have qualms with it. It definitely tends to wobble a bit more due to the lack of support it's getting from the hollow underside, but I do really like the overall design. There really aren't many issues anywhere. The pose is designed extremely well, and really shines light on what Kurama is all about: elegance. From the brilliant arms up flamenco feel to the bent knee and raised foot, Kotobukiya really makes this figure feel lively and fresh. I'm really impressed by how jubilant and expressive the design is, even down to the folds in his clothing that make it look like there's a lot of motion going on. What really sells it is the tucked chin position and the bending at the hands that make it look like he could pop up at any second and do something. One thing I'm not super impressed with though is the coloring of the figure. It's not bad, but it's far from perfect. The shading between the folds of the lower cloth skirt is incredibly well done, but the rest of the figure looks either a bit too dark or too dull most of the time. The most noticeable error is on the chest piece, where the black lines separate the green and blue, and along the red trim of the shirt, there is some color bleeding that make it look a bit unpleasant when viewed up close, but it's nothing too major. The main pose I'm keeping this figure in will definitely be the one with the two roses. I feel that the overall aesthetic of the roses work too well not to use them. The flowers have a great contrast from the dark green tones present throughout a majority of the figure, and make it feel varied. It really looks like this figure was designed with this pose in mind because of how natural it feels. Even with the red of the roses against his hair, the green stem contrasts well against those colors just as well. It's a very unique display to have on your shelf for sure. The thorns look just as good though, as they really make the figure feel large and important. Kurama is ready to battle, and it shows. The way he holds the whip up above him, wrapping around his body, makes for another great pose option that shows off the more violent side of his natural elegance. Ultimately, this figure comes together pretty well, and my final grade comes to a solid B rating. It looks great, has a distinct sense of individuality, and doesn't take up too much room on your shelf. The pose really makes this figure a cut above the rest. I don't think I'd see this as a centerpiece, but it certainly makes for a great background figure to display with some cooler figures of the same scale. Either way, it makes a nice add to any fan's collection. So that wraps up today's Figure Friday review. Are you guys excited to watch the new Yu Hakusho live action series? If you've already watched it, what do you guys think of it so far? I'm definitely interested to hear all of your thoughts down below. So I will see you guys for another Figure Friday next week. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to see more stuff just like this and support the channel. And that's all. Take care, and bye-bye.